attention.
You're not really close to me at all. You're in my yard. I knew you were mad.
You gotta trick it.
You shouldn't be afraid of ironing boards. Mine's face broke. Because I know I'm sad and you're looking pretty sad.
She told me I smelled bad.
I'm sorry. You're not. This is not. I'm sorry? There's a guy, Jimmy. I've got a guy.
There's other guys? Other guys?
That's all I could find. It's just stuff my dad taught me.
And that's the kind of kid that's fighting a little less extra rate every day. Until they die.
You're mad at me, and pretty soon, out of nowhere, this is gonna get ugly.
Why should you apologize?
Because I killed him.
I'll do a number on you.
I thought that'd be hard, but it's not. At all. Oh?
Please come join us tonight for Student Night at 7 p.m. when student tickets are only $7. Other performances are Friday and Saturday at 7 and Sunday at 2. Tickets for other shows are $10 for adults and $7 for students. There are two completely different casts for the show. One will perform tonight and Saturday, the other one will perform Friday and Sunday. Almost Made. It's love, but not quite. The show's so great, you should come see it twice.
All right, good morning, everyone. Hope you come out to the show tonight. Before that, we have chapel, and we got praise band for you, Team Dragon Force. So would everyone please stand and let's worship.
Waiting here as one. There is power, power here in this hour, this hour. We're all together, together, waiting here as one. Oh, hear the sound from heaven. Oh, a mighty rushing wind. Oh, we're calling for revival. God, let your fire fall again. It's burning in my soul. It's burning in my soul. All your sons and your daughters dreaming the dreams of the Father, seeing the signs and the wonders, the kingdom of God. Oh, hear the sound from heaven. Oh, a mighty rushing wind. Oh, we're calling for revival. God, let your fire fall again. It's burning in my soul. It's burning in my soul. I cannot contain it, this light of mine. I cannot contain it, so let it shine. I cannot contain it, this light of mine. I cannot contain it, so let it shine. It's burning in my soul. It's burning in my soul. It's burning in my soul.
Thank you for today. Thank you for the opportunity that we have to come and hear about you. I pray that you would open our ears to be able to hear what the speaker has to say, that we would be able to pay attention, and that we would just be able to use it as we go throughout our day and finish out the week. And I pray that you just give us a good day. In Jesus' name, amen.
Today's speaker is Brad from New Hope Christian, so please give him a warm welcome.
If I talk like this, can you hear me? Is that okay? Awesome. Because I don't want to hold a microphone in my hand. I'm going to put it up. I think it's awesome. My wife doesn't think it's funny. My son, who's 5, he doesn't think it's funny, but I love it. We were in a store one time and I lost her, and that's not a good thing, but this is like she was 5. But I lost her at the store and I couldn't find her, and so I started into like panic mode, and then I finally found my daughter, and she had a Slurpee, and she had the Slurpee in her hand, and she was holding the hand of a mannequin, and she was like this. You're awesome. Like, I was so proud of her, I couldn't be mad at her for running away. I was like, what awesome, like, I love you so much, right? Like, and I have a picture of it and I was going to show it, but the other day we were in Toys R Us and I told her that she could buy My Little Pony magic thing that she didn't know she was going to get, so she was excited. So she started dancing. In my family, my wife can dance, but no one else can dance, okay? So my daughter starts doing like this dance move, and it is like the worst dancing that anyone has ever seen. Like, she's like kicking her legs to the side and like trying to move like have you ever seen a Taylor Swift movie, like video Shake It Off? Like that bad at dancing, right? Like that bad. Like she's like bad dancing, and like people are staring at her. And like for a moment there, I was like, this is embarrassing. So I even looked at her and I was like, who is this kid? Who does this daughter belong to? She goes, be quiet, Daddy. You know I'm yours. And she starts dancing. So then she like knows that it's getting to me. So she's like dancing behind me down the aisles and stuff. And I'm like, leave me alone, little girl. What are you wrong with you? I was like, help, help. And she's like, Daddy, you're starting to bother me. And I'm like, you're the one dancing bad. And she's like, she starts dancing again. You said I was your daughter. Like, so, like, she was convinced that, like, the more bad dancing she did, like, the better, like, the worse I would feel. And the truth of the matter is that the worse she danced, the more I loved her, right? Because she's my daughter. Like, there's something about her. There's something that's connected me to her. Like, when she was born, and, like, the doctor, like, the whole process, which we're not going to get into, right? It's in class, right? But, like, when she's born, like, and they hold the baby in the air and have a picture of it, like, I fell in love with her. Like, she's my daughter. And I tell her that all the time. I love you so much. And she came home the other day and she told me this. She said, there's 2 girls in class and they said they didn't like me. And I was like, they don't like you. You're the most awesome person in the entire world. She goes, I told them that. She goes, and she was so funny because she was hurt and not hurt at the same time. And it just reminded me how much our Father loves us. I want you to see this video. They're going to play it real quick for us. I want you to watch it. It's real quick. represented a star, and then you had like supernovas and all the other galaxy stuff. And I watched it the first time I watched it, I thought, what an amazing universe we live in. And then it starts to make you feel a little small, right? It starts to make you realize that if you thought about it, if you thought through it, as far as we're concerned, we're very tiny in the midst of the entire universe, right? The entire world, the entire galaxy. We are small specks of nothingness compared to how large this entire world is. And yet we live in a world where we have a God who created every aspect of everything, and He desires enough to have a relationship with us that He sent His Son to die on the cross for us. He sent His Son to die on the cross for us so that we might have hope, so we might have joy, so we might live. And it talks about it over and over again in Scripture. It talks about how we are the sons of God, that we are His children, that we have inherited the kingdom of God, that we are, because of Jesus, because of what He did for us, we get to be called a friend of Jesus, a friend of God. We become His children. But one of the things that He commands His children to do is to be peacemakers. Blessed are the peacemakers. It says this in Matthew 5:9, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. When I read that for the first time and I was thinking through it, I remember thinking, blessed are peacemakers, it makes sense. But what I didn't quite comprehend is that I think of a peacemaker as someone who is involved in a war. Is someone who is involved in like a conflict of some on a mega scale, right? Like a peacemaker is someone who stands in the gap, right? But the truth of the matter is that when I think sometimes as Christians, when we think of the word peacemaker, we think of someone who doesn't do wrong things. We think of someone who doesn't say bad words. We think of someone who doesn't gossip. We think of someone who doesn't tell bad stories about someone else. We think of someone who's not out to get someone. But a peacemaker is so much more. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. Like, for instance, let me tell you this, that if just because you don't gossip at school, you're not a peacemaker. Just because you're not mean to someone at school does not make you a peacemaker. It makes you nothing, right? It makes you useless. It makes you someone who takes up space. You see, when God called us, when He said, you're mine, when He created you for a purpose, He didn't just want you not to do bad things. He wants you to do what? Good things. He wants you to be someone who steps out and says, not only am I not going to not talk bad about people, but I'm going to be an encourager. I'm going to be someone who builds someone up. I'm going to step up and be a peacemaker. You see, I desperately want to be a child of God. Matter of fact, I have a cross. I even have a tattoo. Don't think bad about me. You'll never see it because I'm not going to show it to you. Because I'm not, just not going to happen. It's on my chest, and it'll be odd if I'm like, hey, look at this. But like, the point is like, it's a cross, right? It's a dove. Like, I have Jesus tattooed on my body, right? I have a Bible that I wear. I wear Christian clothes sometimes. I have a cross, like I work at a church. Like, all these things represent me as a child of God. I've been baptized. I would be bold enough to say that I would die for Christ right now. But if I am not a peacemaker, it sounds like I might not be a true child of God. I might be able to say all the things that have made me what I think would make me a child of God, but I might not be one if I'm not a peacemaker. And I used to always think to myself, well, I don't gossip. Well, I'm not mean to people. Well, I've never tortured someone. I've never bullied someone. I've never been mean to someone like that. So therefore, I'm okay. But the truth of the matter is no, I'm not. If I want to be a child of God, I have to be someone who doesn't just not do things. I have to be someone who does things. Guys, it is terrifyingly lonely at times in this world. Like, there are moments when you feel like you're in the middle of space and there's no one there. Like, there are times when you wake up in the morning and you don't feel like you should be alive. There are going to be moments, and maybe you haven't experienced this yet, where you feel like everyone is out to get you. You feel like everything that could go wrong will go wrong, and it probably did. And the truth of the matter is that those are the moments in our life when we are desperate for a peacemaker. We are desperate for someone in our lives who will stand between us and the world and say, we can do this. Me and my wife, we went on our honeymoon. We went to Jamaica, and it was awesome. But I found out quickly that me and my wife are very different. She likes to lay on the beach and read books, and I don't like to do either one of those things, right? So we're at the beach, and she's laying there, and she has her Kindle, not even a Kindle, I can't remember. Doesn't matter. She has a book, and she's like settling down, and I'm like, let's go play in the water. She's like, no. And I'm like, well, what do I do? She's like, you could read. I'm like, no, I don't want to read. I'm on vacation. She's like, well, you could just lay there and sit quietly with me. I'm like, no, I'm on vacation. She goes, well, then you're on your own. I'm like, no, we're married. We're one. Like, we had the whole ceremony. We had to do things together. And she's like, look, you're killing me. Please go find something to do. And I'm like, all right. So I found out they're going snorkeling, so I came back and I'm like, hey, they're going snorkeling. You got to go with us. And she's like, no, I'm not going snorkeling. I don't go where sharks are. I'm like, we're at the ocean. Like, what are we doing here? And she's like, I'm reading a book and watching the waves. And you can read a book too. And I'm like, okay, fine. All right, so I go and get on this boat, and I'm on the boat, and no lie, I am 25 at the time, and everyone else in the boat is 75 and older. Right? Except for the two Jamaican guys that are our guides, and they're like 13 and 14, right? Right? And so we're on the boat, we're in the middle of the ocean, right? And it is so funny because like everyone else there, they're like, so are you here on your own? I'm like, no, I just got married. They're like, where's your wife? I go, at the beach. And the guys are laughing, and the girls are like, the ladies are like, oh, that was a bad decision. You shouldn't have left her. I'm like, she made me go. And they're like, okay. So we're getting to the place we're going to snorkel, and no lie, like, they hand out all the snorkeling equipment. If you've ever snorkeled, you get a mask, and you get the little snorkel part, and you get the flippers and everything. So I'm sitting on the side of the boat, and I get all my stuff, and they go, if you've ever snorkeled before, go ahead and start snorkeling. If you haven't, we'll have a 10-minute class on how to snorkel, right? So I'm like, well, I've done it a bunch, so I'm like excited, so I just kind of flip over backwards, like I think I'm cool, right? I can fall backwards, and I'm snorkeling. And then the funniest thing that ever happened to me, I think that one of the funniest things I've ever seen, like one of the pictures, like have you ever seen a picture, like something happens and like it's stuck in your brain for your entire life? This is what I saw. I snorkeled for 5 or 6 minutes, and I popped up out of the water, and I look at the boat, and there are 20 to 25, 75, 80-year-old people who haven't been in the sun probably ever, like with bathing suits on, so they're like this whiteness that like shines like the sun, right? And they're all on the boat, and they have their snorkel gear on and their goggles on, and they're going like this out of the water. It was awesome. Like this was before like waterproof cameras, or this would have been on video, right? Like this would have made like YouTube sensation, right? And they're doing this and they're holding their nose, and like one of the guys is in front of them telling them what to do, and the other guy's back there like dying laughing because they're like making fun of them. And then they go, okay, now it's time to get over the boat. And so they start falling off the boat. Like they're desperately trying to get in the water. Like one like just falls forward, the other falls backwards. Snorkel gear is all over the ocean, right? Like, and I'm sitting in the water the whole time going, this is awesome, right? Like, and then so that we go and they all finally get in, and like by now I've seen everything that there was to see. It wasn't a great trip. It was free. Now I know why, because it wasn't that good. But there's just one guy. Like if you've ever been snorkeling before, eventually you kind of get the idea. You float on your face down, right? You float like on your stomach, kind of, and you get to moving, and you can. It's pretty neat. Well, this guy, he had figured out how to like balance, and he was kicking with his flippers, and he comes zooming past me, and I'm like, oh yeah, man, he got it, and all of a sudden it dawns on me where he's headed, and it dawns on the guy in the boat where he's headed for the boat, all right? He's moving like lightning speed. He's moving, and I start yelling and screaming. I'm splashing the water and trying to get his attention. The guy on the boat slapping the boat. That guy, he plowed right to the side of the boat, right? So then he comes up and he's got blood pouring down his face, right? Like, and he's coughing up seawater and everything. And like, this is bad, but I wasn't so much worried about him as much as the blood in the water idea, right? Like, I'm like, we're all gonna die, sharks are coming, right? So I get back to I go as fast as I can, I grab a hold of him, and he's like kind of out of it, and the guy in like, in pure Jamaican form is like, basically, you got it, man, no worries, and I'm like, he's bleeding, like he can't keep snorkeling, and like he looked and all his snorkel gear was at the bottom of the ocean. It was only like 8 or 9 foot deep, and he's bleeding. He goes, can you help me? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, can you go get my snorkel gear because they'll make me pay for it if I don't get it. So I go down there and get it. And we're on the way back. So now all of a sudden, like us on the boat, we have like this common story. We're telling the story all the way back. So then I get back to the beach. And this is my wife's favorite part, is I get back to the beach and I'm walking down the beach with like senior saints, right? It's like me, 25-year-old, and like a whole bunch of 75-year-old guys, and we're like all like holding hands and stuff. And my wife's reading her book like, what happened? I was like, these are our friends. These are my people. Like, we have snorkeled together and we have conquered. Right? I tell you all that to tell you this. We know exactly what it looks like to be a Christian. We do. Like you guys have an awesome opportunity to go to a Christian school, and I hope that you embrace that from time to time. I know that sometimes you probably get frustrated with it, but I hope that you embrace it and you say, this is cool. Like I have teachers who love Jesus. Like I have people in my life who love Jesus, and so you get this opportunity to hear, probably more than most people, what it looks like to be someone who loves Jesus. You get to hear it, and we see it all the time. But the only problem is that most of the time, the only time we see it is when we see it in a church building, and it looks awkward from the outside. Because it looks like old people practicing something that they should be doing in the water. And so many times it happens in your school, and in your basketball team, and in your neighborhood, and all those things. We go to church, and we go to school, and we learn about Jesus, but when the opportunity arises, and we have to get in the water and get to work, we forget. We forget how to do it. We get so sidetracked that we don't know what to do. And there are people that are next to you that are dying. They're dying for a friend. They're dying for someone to say that they're awesome. They're dying for someone to say that they love them. They're dying for attention. They're dying for a moment's notice. They're dying for a hand that someone grabs them. They're dying for a simple pat on the back. One of the things we try to do at our youth ministry all the time, and I tell my sponsors, is that I want you to bump into students. Like I want you to bump into them on purpose. Like bump into them, nudge them, give them knuckles. You know, we got to be careful how we hug people nowadays, right? We don't want to be inappropriate. So it's like this kind of stuff. But all the same, like I want people to know that they exist and that they are loved by God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. I want to be a child of God. Like I'm so glad that God doesn't get embarrassed by me, because I've done the stupidest things in the world, and that no matter how ugly and stupid I get sometimes, and no matter how foolish I am, and no matter how ugly my dance is, God looks at me and goes, I've been in love with you since you were born. And other people need to know that God loves them. Talking about commands this semester, or this whatever trimester, right? This is a command. Like I hope you've been saved. I hope you've been baptized. I hope you have a cross that you wear. I hope that you have a Bible you read. I hope that you are listening to good music. I hope all those things. But you better be a peacemaker. Gosh. I'm close. I'm afraid. I don't want to go over. That video of NASA, awesome. Like it's an awesome video. It's this big of space and sky, right? Like I mean, it's this little bitty, and like that's it. Like it's zoomed in, it's ginormous, and I think it's awesome to me. I think that my favorite part about that video is this. I showed it Sunday. My favorite part is not that I'm so small. My favorite part is that God is so stinking big. Like, to think about that, like, the more we understand about the world, the more we understand about the universe and the galaxy, and the bigger it gets, the bigger my God gets, because the more He's created. And the more He's created, the more He has dominion and power over. And the more He has power over, guess what? The bigger He is for me. Somebody the other day told me they didn't believe in the whole flood story. Like, they don't think it could possibly happen. They're like, there's just no way, it's just not possible. And they walked through some other stories of miracles in the Bible, and they said that couldn't happen. So then I asked the question, did Jesus raise from the dead? And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, you see, the problem with me is that if I don't think God's big enough to put a man in a fish and take him out of the fish, If I don't think God's big enough to flood the universe or world, if I don't think God's big enough to part the Red Sea, then he's not much of a God, then is he? I need a God who's bigger than all those things, because when I'm at my lowest, when I am all alone, when I am desperate, I need the biggest God I can have. And that's what we have. And there are some people that are in your life that need to know that. And you need to be a peacemaker. Not just someone who doesn't make fun of the person out. Not just someone who's not mean, but someone who loves. Someone who goes the extra mile, the extra step. Someone who says, I'm here. I got you. I had a crappy day. Sorry, I'm not allowed to say that. I had a really bad day yesterday. My day today's better. So let me find someone who's having a really bad day today and say, hey, we got this. We got this. We can do this. Like, we serve a God who created everything. We can do this. Romans chapter 8, which is one of my absolute favorite verses, says this. And I'll be done. We'll wrap up with this. Romans 8:19. Here we go. 14. Sorry. For those who are led by the Spirit of God are the children of God. The Spirit you received does not make you slaves so that you live in fear again. Rather, the Spirit you received brought about your adoption to sonship. And by him we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children. Now, if we are children, then we are heirs and heirs of God and co-heirs with Christ, if indeed we share in his sufferings, in order that we also may share in his glory. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. Like the idea that everything that's ever been created is not having a good day, and it is anxiously awaiting people who love Jesus to wake up inside of them so they can know what it's like to be loved. Like the entire universe is said, we're broken, we don't know how to function, we don't know how to act, we seem foolish, we don't know what's going on, we're bloody, we need help, and they're waiting anxiously for the children of God, me and you, to say, check this out. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him would not what? But have everlasting. The whole universe anxiously awaits the children of God to say, I'm a peacemaker, I'm ready. I'm ready to stand in the gap and say, we can do this. And not just stare from afar. I had a Bible study this morning with a few guys that I eat with, and I said, what do you do when a fight happens? And they go, well, I videotape it. And I was like, isn't that our society? Our society says, hey, I'm not going to help. What are you going to do? I want to make it famous on YouTube. Like, I'm going to bust out my camera. You see, as peacemakers, that's not our role. As peacemakers, and I'm not talking about you getting in the middle of like a giant gang fight, all right? I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about right now in your present moment. That you getting involved in your friends' lives and saying, I want to bring peace. I guarantee you there's some of you in here that don't like each other. I guarantee you there's some of you who have a feud, conflict. I guarantee you that there's somebody in here that feels like everyone doesn't like them. And that is a shame. Because we are children of God. And if they need you today, you may need them tomorrow. I love it. The entire world anxiously awaits the children of God to be peacemakers. Let me pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for loving me. God, I pray for this school. I pray for these students. I pray that you will grab a hold of their hearts. I pray that you grab a hold of mine. God, I apologize for the times that I just stand back and stare, that I stand back and videotape, that I don't dive in when I see someone hurting. God, I pray that you give me the strength and the ability to help. God, I also pray that you tell me when it's my turn and when it's not. God, I don't want to be nosy. I'm not trying to be involved in people's business. I just want to love people. So you show me when to say it, when not to say it. God, I'm so excited that you chose to use us to tell the rest of creation what it's like to be loved by you. So God, use us today, tomorrow, the next day. God, I pray if there's anybody in here who's struggling with someone else, that they will humble themselves today and they'll get through it. I pray if there's any students in here who are so alone that they don't want to live anymore, that you will remind them that you are big and you're big enough. And God, I pray that you will surround that student or those students with your people today. God, we don't want to just be not bad. We want to be good. Show us how to be your people. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Okay, as we close out, we're going to all stand and sing a song that many of you are familiar with called Oceans. Bella Conley and Paul Carter are going to lead us in this song. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand.
Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters, wherever you would call me. And take me
appreciate the investment that Louisville Christian Church has made in our schools. It means a lot. Beautiful to hear y'all sing. Nothing much better than that. Here's what I need when we dismiss. I need 6th and 7th grade boys. If y'all can come sit right here in the middle just for a minute. 8th grade boys, Coach Dodd wants to meet with y'all just real quick out in the lobby. And everybody else, you are dismissed.